So, if you're like me, I've arrived safely in my 50s. I am still here. However, what do we do? What is the level up once we hit 50? Because I don't know about y'all, but 30 was that Saturn return, and then I got over that, and then 40s was that midlife crisis, and now I'm in my 50s, like Chiron return. I just got through that and kind of going through it still. But what I've learned is these are the 5 things that we need to let go of to get our level up in our 50s. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is our compulsion to do and think. That is the number one thing that we have to try to pull the reins in on. We are trying to move into our, level up, which a lot of times it's being wise, it's being like a sage, it's exhibiting restraint and, just being that stoic type person. And we all want to exhibit that. I know I wanted to exhibit that when I was in my teens because I was a freaking mess half the time. So, as you get to your 50s, you want to be that. You want to exhibit more stoicism and wisdom, and you want people to kind of honor the wisdom that you have to offer, but you're never going to do it if you have these compulsions to overact or overdo or overthink when you're triggered into a pattern of that. Our compulsive patterns are like impulses that stem from an inner thing. And so the number one thing we need to do is try to identify the moods or the situations or whatever it is that, has a compulsive action to it. And then we need to try to see if that's serving us. We have done a lot of reactionary compulsive patterns that aren't serving us. They're not good for our energy. They're not good for our time. And so the best way to do that and to let go of that to get your level up is to try to identify, what am I doing that no longer serves a purpose in my life? And then get to the deeper issue of, why do I feel triggered? What's the belief? What's the emotion that's triggered that makes me do it? Like, a lot of people get into this narrative that they are, if they're productive with their time and busy, that equals success. Well, you need to shoot that out the window. That belief was indoctrinated into you. But the people that are most busy in the reality, they tend to make the least amount of money. And the people that are wise and, plan and plot and things like that, they tend to have the more, more abundance. So let's just get to the rudimentary issue of why we compulsively do things and get rid of it if it doesn't serve us anymore. Okay, so number 2 is we are going to stop attracting avoidant people. Yeah. Now, why is this important for our level up? Because we expend extreme amounts of psychic and emotional energy when it relates to avoidant people. And you can call it and give it any label you want. You can say empath, narcissist, you can say codependency, you can say trauma bonding. There's tons of labels for it, but this is the way we're going to talk about it now. We need to release our patterning with avoidant people. Yeah. And the number one reason that we stay in situations with avoidant people, and I just want you to know, it's a huge energy draw of our mental energy and emotional energy. We overanalyze. Why is this person being this way? Total waste of our energy, our mind. And emotionally, we can get triggered into deep rejection, abandonment issues, which we all have. I don't care where you're at on the planet or how you were raised. We all have it. It just can come from minor things too. So at the end of the day, what we have to recognize to get our level up is we have an energy leak when it comes to avoidant people, and there's so many of them on the planet, and we need to start identifying. I don't need validation from anybody. I don't want anything outside me to dictate the way I think and feel. So if somebody starts to do that, you have to have like a safe word. Oh, they're avoidant. It has nothing to do with me. I'm going to move my attention over here. But what we tend to do is we get hooked in. What's wrong? What did I do? Did I look funny? Did I act funny? All these things. And so that is a huge loss of our power. So for our level up, number 2 is to stop entangling with avoidant people and address the issue as to why you do that and keep confronting it. Don't give it airtime anymore. If you feel the emotion trigger, try to move your attention somewhere else. So that's number 2. Okay, so third thing I want to cover is we're going to use a little bit of biblical on this, because I think that, metaphysically, if we look at the Bible and we're trying to up level, it would really help us, because there's a lot of talk in the Bible of you need to sacrifice this to God. You need to sacrifice your false idols to God. You need to sacrifice your kid to God, your son to God, your, land, you're this, you're that. What that really means, and that why I want this, is because remember, up leveling means we have to stop the power leaks. Okay. And so what, metaphysically speaking, they're meaning in the Bible with you need to sacrifice it to God is if you're putting your child who's sucking you dry and taking you from love, the state of being of love, your best feeling, joy, peace, love. Okay. Because remember, God is love. It is an energy. It is the highest attainment that we can have in a human experience. And so if we have to sacrifice something to God, to love, then number 3 is do that. So if you have a child that is, we're in our 50s, so our kids are 20s to 30s, they're adults most of the time. I do still have, younger kids, but either way, even with them, if they're taking us into a trigger that is taking us from God, we need to sacrifice them. And what that means is, no, honey bear, I can't do that for you. This is causing me emotional distress. It's causing me mental challenge. I can't. Sorry. Done. Because there's nothing more important than your level up. You can't help others unless you've helped yourself. So, number 1 thing we're going to do is we're going to start sacrificing things to God. False idols, money. Oh, I put money as my source of happiness. Don't let anything outside you dictate how you feel. So you don't have money, you feel like crap, and you have money and you're back up in the God stuff. No, be with God regardless of what's going on outside of you. This should be first and foremost, but I think you can kind of see the underlying theme of all of them is really about how we, have energy leaks and how we can empower ourselves and stay in these higher energies so that we can have a level up. And so sacrifice the things that are keeping you from your best state of being and say, nope, I got to let you go. I got to choose God first, which is love. So relationships, jobs, that doesn't mean you have to walk out on everything, but just notice this is taking it. And I need to just say, okay, if I have to go get something better, my God energy is way more important, and it is. So that's a big misconception that, that's not the most important thing. It is. Because when we feel good, our life is better, period. And then things start attracting more and more in that upper echelon of good. And so sacrificing to God is the basic instructions before leaving Earth in the Bible. So yes, 3rd, sacrifice things that are taking you from your state of being of love and sacrifice them for love. Meaning there's nothing more important than feeling good. And if I'm around this situation too much and I can't get myself feeling good, then I have to let it go. I have to sacrifice it. There's nothing more important than being in that state. And this is an ultimate level up teaching right here. So get on that one. Okay, so number 4 is you have to outsmart the matrix. Yes, the matrix. A lot of people call it the matrix because it is kind of it's like a screen. It's not that it's not real. It is real. It's all, physics. It's light got denser and it became matter. So we're not saying it's not real, but the matrix is what you project it to be. I could look at a situation between 2 people engaging in dialogue across the room and I could say, wow, they're intensely passionate for each other. And another person could look at it because of their state of being and their perception from that state of being and be like, those people are incredibly toxic. So what I mean by outsmarting the matrix is stop giving so much attention to what is happening around you to dictate and determine how you should think and feel. And see, remember, these are all underlying the same thing, but we're really using different examples. So number 4 is you want to make sure that you outsmart the matrix, which means this situation isn't that important to me. I'm going to move my focus somewhere else. Because remember, you give power to the matrix and what keeps coming or just leaves by your attention to it. And so to outsmart the matrix, if you're seeing something in life that you perceive as bad and you don't like it, then you have to withdraw your attention from it. And it sounds so easy for me to say it, and it seems so easy when you read it on paper. Where attention goes, energy flows. So if you're flowing energy to the matrix because you're giving attention to a toxic relationship, then all of a sudden you're going to start seeing toxic relationships, with all that. But to outsmart the matrix means you are consciously giving attention to what you want and disregarding or making non-existent the things you don't. That is how you outsmart the matrix. And it's important, because if you want more abundance, then you have to focus on abundance. You can't have poverty be your focus. If you want the love of your life, you can't be focusing on the dickhead of life. You have to, start looking for examples of great men and be believing in great men. So remember, where your attention goes, your energy flows, and then it comes back to you that's how you speak to the matrix. So you have to outsmart the matrix by your focus. That is key. Okay, so here we are at number 5, and I just want you to know this one is pretty challenging, but it's a great time for this video because we're in eclipse season of Aries Libra. Aries, the first side of the zodiac, the first day I am present, and then Libra is the relationships with others access. So it's trying to help us, balance that self versus others. And so with that being said, number 5 is you have to sacrifice the old version of you and become in every moment the new version of yourself. So really what we're talking about is you have to form a new identity. And that is actually huge in a lot of spiritual scriptures and texts. It's literally talking about God gave him a new name, and it's really just trying to, show you that you need to have a new identity. So number 5 is you have to sacrifice the old version of yourself. And I do have other videos, a video that talks about, why you have to go ghost, because, a lot of people around you are very tuned into that old identity, and it might be an obstacle for you to overcome it if they keep stating things to you and re-impressing your unconscious and your mind, or your conscious mind even, with old versions of yourself. And so to sacrifice that, you might need to detach for a while and really start to instigate new patterns and beliefs about yourself. And I don't mean fake self-love in the mirror, all of that. I'm talking about, that thought about myself, I gotta let that go. Especially like even if we look at the avoidance that we talked about another step is that, part of ourselves that feels like we, need to prove something to somebody that is not giving us their attention and they're avoiding. And then we, in our old identity, are codependent and we're like, please just love me, see me for who I am. Let me show you better, be better, this and that. That's the old identity you want to let go of. Then you have to be like, well, screw you. I'm a freaking queen, and somebody is going to recognize it, and I'm going to treat them like a king. And so to sacrifice your old identity, you have to catch yourself. Like, that's not who I want to be anymore. That's not the exchange I want to have with people. That's how the old me moved. The new me is ABC, and you really have to get on this, and don't go too far too fast. Find something that's really detrimental to your energy and what makes you feel like junk in your current parameters, and then just work on it. It could even just be standing up for yourself to people. If you have like a passive aggressive identity where you're just very passive, and then when, this fool is taking advantage of me too much, I'm gonna jap out. That's a thing you want to let go of because it actually gets you nowhere. Then you could say to yourself, in my new identity, I address things immediately. I do not hold my tongue. And so people that tend to have that like throat chakra issue with passive aggression, they tend to feel it. Like they'll feel the lump in their throat, or they'll feel the burning, or that they're just holding it in. And that's the clue. That's the old identity. That's the way they handled it. The compulsion to shut up and when you're triggered in this way. And the new identity is, I'm sorry, but this just doesn't feel right to me. So either this is going to have to change or I'm just going to move on. And so you really have to just figure out what are the things that are going against you in your identity and who you think you are and how you operate, how you move, and who is the new version of yourself that you'd like to become, and try to identify 3 things, 3 patterns, 3 new compulsions that you could have to solidify that new identity in yourself. And that is pretty crucial. It's like you rebrand yourself. And so I want that to be number 1, because everything stems from our I am presence. And so if you are consistently saying to yourself, I'm not really good at this, or I'm always broke, or I am, those are all your identity statements. So try to find the 3 that are showing up too much in your life, where your attention goes, energy flows, and then it comes back to you. So find those things and rewrite them. I am abundant in the things that matter. You can't go too far too fast. So you don't want to be like, I'm a millionaire. It's not that looking in the mirror and causing more of a dissonance in yourself. It's really just finding the small stair steps, ways that you can create a new identity and then live by it. And then, meet that old identity at the moment you catch it, and don't give it a hard time, and go to your new belief system, identity, I am statements, however that works for you. But these 5 things, if you work on these things, you will find your level up coming very quickly. And what happens when you level up, you get more conscious, aware, expansion, and more opportunity just comes and flows with ease. So don't work backwards against yourself and start trying to make big changes in your life until you kind of instigate these things that you actually really need to let go of to achieve this new up-leveled version of your life, yourself, your energy, and your patterns. So I hope that helps. And tangent. Yeah, so if you liked it, please share with a friend, comment. If this helped you, subscribe for sure. And we'll see you next time. Take care.